First City Focus is supported in part by First Vincennes Savings Bank, a community lender committed to making loan decisions locally. Online at frsb.net. Good Samaritan, a regional healthcare center offering a variety of services from primary care to same-day joint replacement surgery and more. Good Samaritan online at gshvin.org. Duke Energy, powering the lives of its customers and communities. Online at duke-energy.com. And by Vincennes PBS members, thank you.
Thanks for tuning in to First City Focus. I'm your host, Nicole Carey. On this episode, what better way to prepare students looking towards various law enforcement careers than to put them through a vigorous challenge? We'll take you through Vincennes University's Conservation Law Green Mile Challenge. Rendezvous time is quickly approaching. The 47th annual attraction is focusing on the prophet and the 1806 eclipse. We'll find out what else is being planned for the Memorial Day weekend event. Throughout the state of Indiana, many communities are working to enhance and expand trails. We'll take a look at how technology, as well as state funding, could boost those efforts. We have these stories and more right now on First City Focus. The goal of many academic programs at Vincennes University is to give students real-life experience. And for those looking to enter into the various departments of law enforcement, the VU Conservation Law program is no different, especially where a recent 24-hour challenge comes into play. Students were taken through scenarios that rival any law enforcement academy they'll find themselves at before entering the workforce. Photojournalist Dave Novak takes us along through the Green Mile Challenge.
Well, I'm a little bit of a physical junkie. I like to run, swim, hike, do it all. But I really noticed that in the morning that not a lot of people wanted to do the PT test. But I think I got everyone up and going.
Hey, don't quit. This is kind of my goal, is to prepare them for an academy someday that they're actually going to go to, where there's a lot of stress and they just got to get through it. I've told them the whole time, just keep moving.
For the next 24 hours, we're going to be doing a wide variety of things that are related to the career of a conservation officer. Now take your stick and put it in that loop. So now take that all the way across and 2 hard wraps.
I've always loved law enforcement, and I decided to mix my passions of the outdoors and law enforcement together. And I stumbled across this place, and perfect match.
So now what I did is I just use a friction hold. So we want to get that thing as tight as we possibly can, because when we hang that tarp on there, it's gonna sag big time.
I've always wanted to be a CO since I was a little kid. And you know, I was in high school and I didn't make the best grades in the world, but I talked to Eric Doan one day on the phone in August. It kind of changed my life. I taught myself how to swim. I taught myself how to do all the essentials to be a game warden. So we started out with our debris hut building. So what we have here is known as a debris hut. So we start off, we got a bit of a lean-to, as you can see, coming down the middle. That's our main support beam. And then we all took in and put up like our stilts or our sticks. And then after we get the sticks in, it's very important to have insulation, because you never know what the weather's going to be.
So if I get that a little bit finer, good chance it will actually take a spark. There we go.
My main pocket here, I got my water, which I have water in my cooler in my truck. I got bug spray, a new can. I've got a headlamp that's fully charged, has a couple settings. I like being outdoors, and I grew up, fishing with my dad, and I just heard, conservation officers, like, their job's just really interesting. And I did some research on some schools, and I found Vincennes University Conservation Program. So I figured, why not just give it a try?
You wouldn't happen to have been deer hunting, would you? You
Nope.
would just. Okay, so we saw that you had shot 3 times.
Yeah, I shot
some squirrels.
squirrels and a
Yep.
coyote, because I want to make a coyote hat.
Right. You want to make that coyote hat. So,
Right.
So what's the deal with the slug there? You know anything about the slug?
Well, all right, I'm sorry I lied to you, man.
Well, actually doing the one-on-one scenarios, it's like you really get to see that firsthand.
You got your turkey license on you?
Yeah, sure do. I got it last night.
We talked to a guy who is a ginseng digger, and he tried to talk us out of it and tell us it's yellow root. So they know, they do it every day. They see people and what they try to use and try to confuse you. So they're going to do it to us. So by them being experts on it, they can really teach you everything you need to know.
Look on our approach and remember that beef pillar.
Hi there, how you doing tonight, sir?
How's it going, man?
Oh, not too bad. The reason I stopped you, your license plates expired. Did you know that?
I didn't know that.
Okay, you mind if I see your license, registration, and insurance, please? Awesome, thank you, sir.
Yep.
I'll be right back with you.
Okay.
I love to swim. I grew up on a lake. It's really helped me train through it. I actually go to the Y here in town and swim a mile every other day. I'm confident in the water. I could see that a lot of our fellow classmates were not. But I think that what Doan taught us in the water is going to help them a lot, and it showed everybody what they needed to work on.
At the end of swimming there, I was pretty cold. I had to get in the hot tub because I was shaking so bad. That was pretty humbling that I got so cold.
Get to the road and then we switch.
As far as the search and rescue scenario goes, I feel like a lot of us started to think like, we had to think of a perfect plan, but in all reality, in our scenario with as many people as we had, we needed to just jump into it. Our top priority is to find that person. So, that was only 3 hours, and that was physically and mentally exhausting. And we had a very small search, area in that scenario. You think about the Hoosier National Forest, our person was last seen here. You have no idea where they could be. I mean, that could take 3 to 4 days. It's, mental strain, physical strain. So I think that was a really good example of a real life look into what it could be like.
It made communication a really big thing. So you were either talking and helping, or you were talking and not helping, or just weren't talking. Kind of made point of who the leaders are.
The search and rescue, it really opened up my eyes to what I'm actually going to need to be prepared for, what I need to look for, what specific things I need to enhance at.
I think the most fun part was honestly just being with everybody for 24 hours. That was a super cool thing. Like, we're all with each other, we're all going through the struggles together. Everyone's together as a team. We're all lifting each other up, and we're all helping each other, like giving encouragement and motivation. I thought that was just really cool.
For more information on VU's conservation law program, follow a link on our website. Well, it is now the month of May, and while we are enjoying the height of spring, preparations are in full swing for the 47th annual Spirit of Vincennes Rendezvous. Here to help us get excited for this annual attraction is Marketing Director Mark Hill and Attendance Director Debbie Dunn. Thanks for being here.
Hey, it's great being here.
Yeah. So, of course, you're both representing very well in your period clothing. Tell us how it is transforming into these characters, if you will, that represent the time that the rendezvous was set in.
I think, as we talked about at the chamber the other day, the time it takes to get dressed is a little bit longer than what we are ordinarily accustomed to in the 21st century. So I think that time and kind of understanding the importance of various layers that we put on helps you get into the period spirit. And it's very comfortable. After I've been in and out of modern clothes and in the period clothing during this time of year, I feel more like myself doing this.
And Debbie, I know for the women, sometimes some of the layers can be quite complicated.
It can. I've learned a few tricks over the years, and it's always fun to get dressed and go in the time machine. And my kids love seeing it happen. Seeing me come out and in the 18th century, and but no, it's great. It's great learning how they did dress, and so I appreciate both.
Right.
Yeah.
So work has begun at the French Commons that transform it into that time period. Tell us what goes into keeping that property maintained. I'm sure it doesn't stop year round.
No, that's a great question, and we've been very fortunate, and Debbie's a part of the other festival, myself included. Diversity Music Festivals in the fall.
That's right.
And so we really have crews of volunteers that work year round to keep the grounds in pretty good shape. And then we have volunteers that come in, as the Scouts did the weekend before last, and actually have some correctional men that come from both the local area as well as the state that do some of the heavy lifting and things. So there's a lot of work that goes on in keeping the grounds pristine. But because of having multiple festivals out there now, we really keep it in a park-like atmosphere.
That's great. When we talk about the grounds, of course, I know a favorite of mine are the food vendors. Authentic food offered from that time period. But what's even better is that they're housed by local nonprofits who actually, this may be their biggest fundraiser for the year.
You know, that's something we stayed very true to in the whole history of the event, that we wanted local non-for-profits, either from Knox or Lawrence County, to be the people that sell the foods. And just importantly, that money rolls back over into the community. So we're very philanthropic at the Rendezvous, and we have scholarships that we raise with the money each year that we contribute to all 4 high schools as well.
And how is it getting participation from the local groups? Do you sell out? Do you have a waiting list?
For the food?
Yeah.
Yes. In fact, I just secured like the last food booth for another group that I work with, and so there is typically a waiting list, though from time to time, like we had something come up this year because that weekend is always so busy. There's one food group that has 2 weddings the same weekend, and so they were saying, well, we'll reserve our spot for next year, but we need to be gone this year, and so we found somebody else to come in temporarily in that case.
That's great. Yeah. Also on the premise are merchants and traders with authentic wares. It's a lot of great artisans. What goes into getting all of those merchants
So
booked?
we really kind of start probably 6 months in advance, reaching out to those particular people that work a circuit, you know, from the early spring through the late fall, and they travel all over the Midwest. So if you go to the Feast of the Hunter's Moon, or if you go over to near St. Louis, where there's some big festivals, or down in the Louisville area, you would see some of the same vendors there, so they know each other. They kind of travel on that circuit. So getting the word out, and we actually learn and reach out to different groups. We've had people come from as far away as Texas and out on the East Coast as well that have heard about the event, research it a little bit, and then join us. So that's another good way to spread that word. But we jury those groups very heavily and make sure they are representing the time period.
Okay. Also, there's stage and roving entertainment. Debbie, what are some of your favorites?
Sure.
Your husband.
Absolutely. My husband. Yeah, my husband, he has become kind of a staple now. He wanders around with his banjo, and I get to sing with him sometimes some songs of the time. You will find, different people of that time period just roving around. Speaking of some of the artisans, they're a great way to learn about the history as well of the 18th century. And I find that just really fun going from booth to booth, and they all tell a story, which is interesting and for each individual. Absolutely.
And they kind of find their own niche at various places throughout the grounds. You know, we have a place called La Galleria where we gather people like Martha Washington and Patrick Henry that talk there, but some of the musicians like our common stock who actually got married here in Vincennes, Review students, and they've been here every year. People that are my age doing that, and they sing songs that tell the history. We have a gentleman that impersonates the rat catcher of George Washington. Carries a couple little rats around, but that's a true story, an actual character that he represents. So those, and the fact that they're in meeting and greeting people and actually passing the hat, because that's how people made their living in those days.
That's right. So of course the battle reenactments are great, children's games, and with the battle reenactors, they camp at the national park, and so that is a nice way to go see how they lived.
And they love to have visitors come through the encampment to talk to them. They stay in period throughout the weekend. I mean, they research their outfits, the food that they cook, the utensils they use, the tents, all those things are as authentic as they can be, down to the very buttons that they wear and the weapons that they use. So those gentlemen, ladies, and children come from probably about a 6-7 state area. They come here for that weekend. So it's a great piece of what we do, and then we feed them and try to treat them as nicely as we can for all the work they do, including the cannons.
That's right.
And this year we have a return to the cavalry. We actually have a couple of horses that will be on the battlefield this year, which is kind of a fun addition.
Absolutely.
And speaking on the encampment, I think it's so beautiful, and the photography that can be taken advantage of it there. People, you don't have to be interested in the historical aspect to enjoy just the beauty of the history. I really appreciate that. I always see these pictures that come out of the event, and people do capture those really well.
And we use a lot of those pictures actually on our brochures and our informational
That's
materials. We have a photo contest, and in fact, this one that we have as the background on this, as well as our button, is a gentleman that was holding the Clark flag, and we just thought that just kind of captured the whole spirit of the event.
Right. Speaking of the buttons, they are on sale now in our community. But folks, they don't have to be here to also purchase them. They can get them online.
Yes, we have a process called On Tap that Debbie and Nash take care of, and we can scan that from our posters. And I'm sure you'll have that on your website as well, so people can go there, purchase either a single day or a 2-day pass. As well as children's admission, and our fees are very reasonable. We think that our children's attendance price for 6 to 12 is $2.
Right.
So you can bring a family of 4 there for cheaper than you can go to a movie, or definitely for go out to dinner somewhere in the community, right? So it's still a reasonably priced event for sure.
So much to take part of as a family that definitely would entertain young children
and
as
we talked off the air, we have events that go on Saturday evening at Grouseland and the State Historic Sites where you can hear music, you can tour under candlelight tours. So we have a van that runs around during the event and takes people to those other sites in Vincennes, because our history is so rich and so diverse that we really want people to see that.
That's right. So, if some locals have not been to the Rendezvous in years,
there are
maybe decades,
So many.
what would you tell them to get them to come back out and see it once again?
I think there's something for people of all different ages and interests. There are things that you can purchase that are useful for graduation or Mother's Day or Father's Day. There is food that is like going to the county fair. It's the first of its type that you have during this time of year. But as Debbie said, the music, the ambiance, the whole feel of the event really is like stepping back in time. So it's a cultural step back, and it's an understanding of where we came from.
That's right. And I even love the smell of the campfires.
Yeah.
It just, there's a smell of the Rendezvous that you just can't ever recapture anywhere else.
Absolutely.
We agree.
Thanks for being here. For more information about the Rendezvous or how to get involved as a volunteer, you can follow a link on our website, vincenspbs.org. Well, Vincennes PBS and WVUB-FM are both involved with Indiana Public Broadcasting Stations, or as we also call it, IPBS. A recent statewide effort we have taken on as IPBS is highlighting different infrastructure efforts across the state in a series we call Beyond Bridges. In this next feature, we're going to show you how the future expansion of bike trails throughout the state is getting a boost thanks to funding and the use of technology.
Dustin New has some creative ideas for the future of transportation. He's an active transportation planner for the Michiana Region's Planning Council, known as MACOG.
Basically, my focus is things that are not motorized and how people use those to get around. So bikes, scooters, walking.
He's occasionally just called the trails guy.
There we go.
His job on many days is to crunch mapping data for over 160 miles of trails in 4 counties. But on other days,
On the nice sunny days like this, to get out on the trail and record some data.
and he records that data just by riding this bike.
So this is our data bike.
New says the bike is the first of its kind in Indiana.
The key piece is the phone. It's just a standard smartphone. So as you're riding along the trail, you hit bumps, the phone vibrates. It records that as an anomaly in the road or in the trail, and we get that data of the condition of the trail. Up top has a 360-degree camera, so we'll get kind of a street view. We're calling it the trail view. And then it also has a camera on the back that shoots downward. The idea is that we can then develop a GIS map where you can see the condition of the trails graphically. So you could literally look at a photograph of what created that rough condition. It could be poor pavement, it could be pavement change, whatever it may be, but you can then evaluate it and decide if it needs to be fixed immediately, longer term planning for fixing it, and then develop a budget for it.
That last part about budgeting for trail maintenance, that's the culture shift that New hopes to encourage within the region his planning council serves.
Each of the communities within that area or counties has responsibilities for maintaining their trails. There may be, but I'm not aware of any community that has a budget item or a line item for trail maintenance. And that's the problem. It's always something has to be given up somewhere else in a budget to make that happen.
Lack of funding for routine trail upkeep is not a local problem. A decade ago, the Ohio River Greenway published this manual for trail maintenance, calling deferred trail maintenance a nationwide issue. Part of that issue lies in how trails are typically funded. Since 2019, Indiana's Next Level Trails program has invested $180 million to develop more than 217 miles of trails in 58 counties. It's the largest infusion of state funding for trails in Indiana's history. The program has funded 89 trail projects so far, favoring projects that make connections between other trails or communities. And while the ultimate vision for the future is a system of interconnected trails across the entire state,
where the actual trails go, though, is generally going to be a local decision and pushed by the local community.
Building 1 mile of new trail can cost a local community between $800,000 and $1.2 million, depending on how it's constructed. Maintaining that mile of trail once it's built is generally cheaper. Estimates range from $1,000 to $10,000 per mile per year. However, and here's the issue, the grants that help local communities build trails generally won't pay to maintain trails, but they do require local communities to have a maintenance plan. That's why MACOG is getting creative, providing local governments the data they need to prioritize trails like roads.
MACOG looks at trails as an asset to the community. And part of what is typically done with roadways, for instance, is communities have an asset management plan to kind of quantify the condition of their roadways. We have the thought that that could be applied to trails as well, but we needed a way to do that.
MACOG already has data on trail usage. Sensors like this one capture how many people go by and when, and even distinguish who's walking and who's on a bike, making it easy to see that many trail users are actually commuters.
There are upticks in the time of day that we have the most traffic. It's mornings and afternoons when people are going to work and people are coming home from work. It's not all recreational. That's, kind of the approach that we're starting to take is that if you plan trails for people to commute on, you get both benefits without having to just focus on one.
If it works, the data-driven approach could unlock new sources of funding.
Just like the asset management plans can be used to develop budgets from highway dollars, whether that be federal or state, we think you should be able to utilize those same pools of money to maintain your trails in your community. So that's kind of the goal, is to try and get people to see the opportunity, and then you've also got to create the opportunity. Trails are the opportunity to give people to use something other than their car.
To review the most recent funding that was awarded by Governor Holcomb for the Next Level Trails, as well as a map of all the Next Level Trails recipients, you can visit our website, vincennes.pbs.org. If you've been watching Vincennes PBS over the last couple of months, you should have noticed a new face on our team. Allyson Bowers is that new face, but she's not new to us. Allyson first worked for Vincennes PBS in the production department for a few years, ending in 2015. We are so happy to have her back with us again, this time serving as our new Education and Community Outreach Coordinator. As she begins to champion many causes and efforts for us, there is one topic that is near and dear to her heart, as well as our community.
April is Autism Acceptance Month. Hi, I'm Allyson Bowers. As the Education and Community Outreach Coordinator for Vincennes PBS and also the mother of an autistic child, I feel it's so important to raise awareness about autism within our schools and communities.
A friendly reminder from PBS Kids. I like my new friend Max. April is Autism Acceptance Month.
Some people with autism do things that might look a little different.
But everybody's different in one way or another. Thinking differently can lead to new and exciting ideas.
It was Julia's idea. My sister's great.
Thanks, Carl. Are you gonna be my friend? I'd love to be your friend. I like having a friend like Max. And a friend like you, neighbor.
Children with autism may go about tasks differently than their peers or need special accommodations such as noise-canceling headphones, assistive communication devices, or extra sensory breaks. But they are still smart, fun, contributing members of their classrooms and community. They're just like every other child, wanting to learn, make friends, and enjoy life. I encourage you to teach your child to be inclusive in their classroom today. A little kindness can go a long way. If you have any questions or are looking for additional information or resources, please reach out to me at allison.bowers@vinu.edu.
Again, you can find out more about the free resources that are available through Vincennes PBS on our website, and you can also find Allison's contact information there as well. And now for our final focus. Several days throughout the school year, we are more than happy to host students of all ages inside our studios. Recently, the Princeton Middle School and the Washington High School media students spent time with us as we took them behind the scenes of our stations, giving them the chance to learn more about the broadcasting industry.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America.
It's an outstanding group of young kids that really get creative. They have a lot of fun with it. The basis of our class is kids put together the morning announcements each day for the whole school. It's called Tiger Talk. They get very creative with their blooper reels. They do this day in history. They get the birthday, sports announcements, recaps, highlights.
Good morning, Tigers. The most fun part of the class is being with my best friend Breland on air and just having fun and being on air with her every single day.
Definitely the bloopers. Hanging out with my friends. I have all my friends in that class.
The store has been really fun and it's helped me learn a lot about more things that is out in the world, and I didn't know any of this was out here, but now I do, and it's been really fun.
It's definitely cool. I love like the podcasts and just like there's so many, like there's a variety of stuff you can do. The
thing that really hit me is we were walking up the street. One of the students just saw the mural on the side of the building and was like, this is gonna be lit. Another student was in here just saying, I am geeking out at all the technology in the studios. And how cool it is. He even talked about maybe wanting to be a meteorologist one day.
UV index will be 4 to 11 today.
The switcher has gotten bigger, and we have 3 cameras.
The audio I found pretty interesting and felt like take really good attention to detail. You had to listen to what they were saying, make sure you did it right. Big part of the.
I didn't expect it to be this nice, I'm not gonna lie. I've seen this room and it's really high tech and it's really nice in here, yeah.
We got a brief introduction in the radio room. It was very neat to see all the different controls, and then we came down here to the television part of it and we got to run some broadcasting and do a little bit behind the scenes.
Welcome back to Weather. I'm Allie Mazingo.
If your school group or club would like to visit our studios, you can reach out to us through our website, vincennes.pbs.org. And that's all for this edition of First City Focus. For everyone here at Vincennes PBS, I'm Nicole Carey. Join us again next week.
First City Focus is supported in part by First Vincennes Savings Bank, a community lender committed to making loan decisions locally. Online at frsb.net. Good Samaritan, a regional healthcare center offering a variety of services from primary care to same-day joint replacement surgery and more. Good Samaritan online at gshvin.org. Duke Energy, powering the lives of its customers and communities. Online at duke-energy.com. And by Vincennes PBS members, thank you.